Fabulous, absolutely amazing. In fact, stunning. It's one of those shows that I'm going to be thinking about for days and days and days. Everybody should see it. Excellent.
That is quite the testimonial. You can find it at the website experiencethegift.ca. And what is this lady talking about? Well, I'm still not entirely sure. Now, the website describes it as Brookes Diamond Productions presents a transformative theatrical experience, The Gift, starring Robert Lamar. He has this to say.
Since the beginning of time, one question has remained unanswerable. Philosophers have pondered it. Lovers gazing with rapt wonder into each other's eyes have agonized over it. Ancient cave dwellers, staring upwards at a star-filled sky, have been torn trying to comprehend it. Is this all a random accident? Or is it meant to be? What if there was a formula to guide us? What if there was a way to discover our true purpose? What if we had the gift? What you see will be amazing. What you hear will be astounding. What you experience will change the way you see the world forever. The question remains, are our lives determined by chance or by destiny? I'm Robert Lamar, and together we will discover the gift.
Coming up in a few moments, we're going to hear from the writer and the director, Ron Ulrich, about this transformative experience. My name is Sheldon McLeod. Now, this is not a paid endorsement, but this is my podcast, and I found this fascinating. You're listening to SaltWire, and this is Thinking Out Loud. So some people in life believe everything happens for a reason, and other people figure we all reason why things happen. I am really pleased to meet Ron. Is it Ulrich or Ulrich?
Ulrich. You were right the first time. Well, it's my grandfather pronounced it Ulrich because he was from Germany, and my family always pronounced it Ulrich ever since. So take your pick, man.
Well, Mr. Ulrich, the gift, experience the gift. I have, in my career, found there are some projects that are darn near impossible to explain. And I'm reading through the description of this play, transformative. I'm hearing people say it is an experience like no other. How in the world do you talk about what this play is about from that context?
It's a good question. The essence, really it's an experiment in a large way. It's an experiment to discover whether destiny or chance controls our lives. And the audience is invited to participate, if participate's the wrong word, to engage in some of the experiments. I personally am I just don't like participation theater. Somebody says, come up and sing, or they throw a ball to you and say, stand up and dance. Now you go, oh, for God's sake, that's why I'm paying my money, so somebody else can do this. But in this particular project, because our overall goal is to question whether destiny or happenstance controls this universe, and we do a series of experiments on the stage to actually indicate or prove one perspective over the other. It's easy for me to, on the stage, to do this, and I can fake it. You know what I mean? I can do a couple of things. You go, wow, that's awesome. But man, he's just faking it. But if somebody comes up from the audience who we've never met before, because of all the people who come to see the show, there's only 10 who will be picked, and they will be randomly selected out of a hat, and they will be asked even before the show, if you don't want to do this, don't bother. But if you're interested in being a participant or an experimenter, put your name in that little box over there, and somebody else from the audience that we don't know will pick out 10 names. So if there's 100 people in the audience, only 10 are going to get up there in the first place. And the second thing is that of those 10, some of them are going to go up there going, I don't believe for one blessed second that this is going to prove one way or the other. And I would tell you that every one of those 10 will come off of there and come away saying, wow, that either proved or disproved conclusively what I was believing or not believing. It's kind of cool.
You wrote this, and I'm wondering, where did you draw this material from? It was inspired by someone else whose father helped inspire, and again, we're talking about the performer here, who helped inspire this entire event. So where does this material come from to make it into a screenplay or into a play or a stage play? A stage play.
Robert Lamar. When I was the artistic director at Neptune Theatre a long time ago. I loved being in Halifax. It's just a great city and a great audience and just a great theatre. And Robert Lamar came over as a consultant on a couple or 3 shows that I did there. And so we had sort of kept in touch over the years. And then during the middle of COVID, when everybody was kind of at 6s and 7s, Robert got an idea about a project to actually seriously discuss the concept of happenstance versus destiny, and called me and said, do you think this has legs or possibility of legs as a show? And I thought, yeah, I think it does. And then over the period of our discussions, it was decided that Robert said, well, you want to write the damn thing? And I thought, sure, okay, I'll write it. And because Robert was so clear on what we needed to articulate and define to actually make these series of experiments work, I was able to write a great story which kind of surrounds this, helps the story to move forward, and follows really along the line of what Robert discussed, his learning from his grandfather, his now deceased grandfather, a series of tests to show one way or another, to prove one way or another that destiny does or does not exist. And it was fun to put together. Robert is a wonderful artist and a wonderful performer. The crew that we had working with, that we were working with on this show, are absolutely brilliant. There's only about 3 or 4 people who put this thing together, and it looks like a million. When I ran a budget for this thing, it was about $125,000-$30,000 to put this show on. And these 3 or 4 people did this whole thing on far, far less than that, and it made it look like it cost every penny of that $125,000.
I have a few passions in my life, things that I've grown to enjoy, including live performance and arts. But I find, if we're looking at, and forgive me if this is in any way offensive to what we're discussing, that between stand-up comedians and magicians, you have people who present things entirely in different ways, but they tell you either I'm going to expose universal truths through laughter, or I'm going to fool you on purpose. Are these psychological experiments? Are these tricks? How is it that you're able to expose or to uncover this truth, whether it's fate or destiny?
Well, here's the real question. I mean, I understand your point. You're right. A number of years ago, just a personal story. A number of years ago, I was sort of out of money and wasn't doing much. I was working as an actor, but I had really thought, where the hell is my rent going to come from? And I practiced meditation every day. And I was sitting in meditation and the phone rang. And I don't answer the phone when I was in meditation. We didn't have silencers on the phones then. So I just thought, for some reason, I thought, well, what the hell? I'll answer this one. And a guy at the other end of the line said, are you interested in directing a show? And I said, I beg your pardon? He said, are you interested in directing a show? And I said, yeah, what does this entail? And we started talking to each other. Suddenly I had money to pay my rent. Suddenly I was able to change directions in my life and in my career. And suddenly I found a really glorious path on which to move forward. Is that destiny or is that chance? And do I prove it or disprove it? I don't know. To me, it proved it. I thought, yeah, this is destined to happen. You look at these experiments that we do on the stage. Some of them, people will go, oh, I don't know, is that destiny? Yeah, I think it is, but you tell me after you've seen it. So the same thing applies, by the way, to every one of the shows you've talked about, or these types of show you've talked about. Yeah, everybody in the world has a perspective. I believe my perspective to be really important. Okay, great. But test it out. I had a great yogi once who taught me if the experiment works, it was about a particular pranayama exercise. He said, if it works, great, use it. If it doesn't, find something else. And that's where I've lived ever since, man.
Does that not in some ways though speak to the fact that as humans we look for order in disorder, we look for patterns where there's randomness? I'm hearing you, and it sounds like the secret, what you put out into the universe is what you get back, or whether you look at it as an affirmation that these are the things that I want to visualize, and if I visualize them enough, I will see them to their conclusion or to their birth.
Well, certain elements of quantum physics is that if you visualize something hard and far enough, it will in fact occur. I mean, why does an airplane fly? You tell me it's because of a little vacuum over the wing? I don't freaking think so, man. It flies because everybody on the planet believes it's going to fly. So there is an element of that in there. But is it destiny that we fly? Yeah, probably it is. I mean, we weren't born with wings, but I do not. What is destiny? What is destiny? I mean, that's really the question. Is destiny just a series of events that happen in one's life? Or is it, in fact, the culmination of a series of electronic emissions that were blasted into the universe at the time of the Big Bang, and it just follows a series of sine waves that are going on into infinity? And we're just a part of that sine wave all the way along. I don't know. To me, that's far more likely than anything else. And every day then becomes an experiment. It's not like I'm being controlled by some outside force. I'm just on this harmonic path, man. And if that path, if I can stay in harmony, I'm happy doing it. If I can't stay in harmony, then I won't be happy doing it.
We have elements of spirituality, of even perhaps religion. The grand question: where did we come from? How did we get here? Where are we going? That seems to be a lot of pressure to put on a one-person play called The Gift and Experience the Gift. Where does your perspective come from today?
Well, I've been in this business for a long, long time and lived for a long, long time. And my perspective has been solidified literally from all those kinds of experiences in my life, where I wake up, where I sit there thinking, how the hell am I going to pay the rent? And the phone rings. Where I decide at one point in my life, okay, I'd started my career wanting to be a psychologist. And I'd taken my master's in psychology, and I thought I'll just go back and do that at one point in time, because I don't know, I thought, I'm loving the theater, but maybe I should do something a little more worthwhile. And the day I was going to enroll for university, I got all kinds of scholarships to go back, and I got a phone call again from Walter Learning at Theatre New Brunswick, who said, you want to direct a show for me? And I thought, this is a sign from the heavens, man. It just is. I said, yeah, I'll do it. And when did it start rehearsal? The first day that I was supposed to start class. So I don't know. All I tell you is there's a series of events in my life that have occurred that make me feel that, yeah, it is destined to occur.
You are a believer. And given the technical challenges of us connecting for this conversation, perhaps this was meant to be. I had obviously had an opportunity to speak with some of the people behind this. This is a Brookes Diamond production starring Robert Lamar, and it is playing till mid-February at St. Andrew's Church Hall on Coburg Road. This is a fascinating conversation, and I don't want. I could talk for hours about this type of this topic, and I guess the last thing I would ask is, you say this is participatory without it being, this isn't where I'm not throwing toast on the stage. I'm not, this isn't a pantomime. This is an awakening for some, perhaps an eye-opening experience. What of those folks who might be reluctant because they say, you've seen crowds before. You know, people don't always want to be singled out and don't always want to be engaged in that way. Do I have an unwritten contract that if I buy a ticket, that I go in through the door, that there's a chance I might be on stage?
God, I hate that. No, you don't. Anybody who wants to, if nobody wants to participate, they don't have to. But anybody who wants to participate will drop his or her name or their name into a box at the beginning. And during the course of the evening, when it comes time to do an experiment, somebody's name will be selected out of that box. And if your name isn't in there, you ain't going up, which is great. You can sit there and watch. I remember the first short production of this when we did a preview of this. This is a couple of weeks ago. And the place was full, 100 and something people in there. And I went to the front of them and said, look, if you want to do this, this is cool. If you don't, this is also cool. But if you want to be one of the experimenters, put your name in the hat. So out of that 100, I think maybe all 100 of them put their names in, which was silly because they were all dumping them in. I went, wow, well, that's cool. Only 10 people are brought up on the stage. So the odds against you being up there, unless you're destined to be up there, are pretty minimal. But if you are the ones that are destined to be up there, you will find quite an intriguing series of events happening. And are you having to do silly things and dance and sing and that sort of stuff? No. Are you sometimes just working on a line of thought that will encourage or discourage a perspective? Yes. And if you don't want to be up there, you don't have to be. It's simple. I personally, never volunteer to go on the stage. They pay me actor fees or equity fees if I get me up there. So, no, I'm joking. But I just don't do that. I like just to watch and to figure out see what other people do. Some people absolutely love going onto the stage and being a performer, but they're not going to be a performer in this case. You're just, if you or your name is in a hat, and if you are the one who is selected, you will be on there just engaging in an experiment. And the experiments are fairly well structured and laid out so that you can follow that easily and without any kind of personal embarrassment. Just go, yes, okay, I can do this, and wow, bless my soul. It either works or it doesn't work. That's what the experiment's about.
Ron Ulrich, it is a pleasure to meet you this way. I'm glad that we were able to connect today, and I thank you for this.
Well, thank you. And thank you for taking time to talk me through how to get connected on this. It was really cool.
All the best.